I trusted my sons more than anyone in this world. After losing my wife, they were all I had left. So, when they surprised me with a luxury cruise vacation and said it was their way of thanking me for everything I had done for them, I believed every word. But, on the second stop of the trip, they smiled and said, "Dad, go explore the local market. Take your time and enjoy yourself." I had no idea those would be the last normal words I would hear from them. Because, when I came back to the dock, the cruise ship was gone. My luggage was gone. My passport was gone. And my own sons had disappeared with every dollar I had. What they did not know was that less than 24 hours later, the entire country would know my name. And when they turned on the television the next morning, their faces changed forever. My name is Richard. I am 68 years old and spent my entire life building a business from nothing. I worked 18-hour days for over 40 years. I sacrificed vacations, hobbies, and even friendships because I wanted to leave something meaningful for my family. I had 2 sons, Daniel and Marcus. I gave them everything. Private schools, expensive cars, college tuition, business opportunities. I thought I was raising good men. But, after my wife passed away 2 years ago, something changed. They stopped visiting often. Calls became shorter. Conversations felt forced. Every discussion somehow turned toward money, inheritance, property, and future plans. At first, I ignored it. I told myself grief changes people. Then one day both of them showed up smiling in a way I had not seen in years. "Dad, we know life has been hard. You deserve a break." We booked a luxury Mediterranean cruise for all 3 of us. I was overwhelmed. For the first time in months, I felt loved again. The first 2 days were perfect. We ate together, laughed together, watched sunsets from the deck. I remember thinking maybe I had been wrong about them. Then on the 3rd morning, we arrived at a small port city. Daniel smiled and said that there is a beautiful local market a few streets away. Go explore while we stay here and handle some booking paperwork. I trusted them completely. I walked through the market, looked at handmade souvenirs, drank coffee, and thought about buying gifts. 45 minutes later I returned to the dock. The ship was gone. At first I thought I had the wrong terminal. Then panic hit me. I reached for my phone. Gone. Wallet. Gone. Passport. Gone. Everything had been inside the cabin. I stood there shaking while realization crashed over me. My own sons had abandoned me intentionally. An employee working near the dock noticed I looked distressed and approached me. After hearing my story, he let me use his phone. I immediately called my bank. What I discovered next made my stomach turn. Over $600,000 had been transferred out of my accounts in the last 2 hours. My sons had planned everything. They expected me to disappear in a foreign country while they emptied every account and legally moved ownership of several company assets. I sat there broken. Then something unexpected happened. The dock worker asked me a strange question. "Sir, are you Richard Lawson from Lawson Technologies?" I nodded. His face changed instantly. "You donated $1 million last year to rebuild the hospital in my hometown after the earthquake. I recognized your face from the charity foundation." I had forgotten about that donation. Within minutes he made several calls. What I did not know was his brother worked for one of the country's biggest television networks. A wealthy American businessman overseas by his own children. The story exploded instantly. By midnight every major news station was covering it. International authorities got involved. My sons had no idea. Back home Daniel and Marcus believed they had won. They thought I was stranded helpless with no money, no documents, and no way home. The next morning both of them were eating breakfast when the television anchor interrupted regular programming. Breaking news. Business founder Richard Lawson was allegedly abandoned overseas by family members after suspicious bank transfers totaling over $600,000. Authorities are now investigating large-scale financial fraud connected to immediate family members. My sons froze. Then came the knock at the front door. Federal investigators. By the time I returned home 3 days later, everything had changed. Their accounts had been frozen, their passports seized. Fraud charges were already fired. They sat in the courtroom staring at me with fear I had never seen before. Marcus whispered, "Dad, please, we can explain." I looked directly at them. "For 40 years I gave you everything. You thought age made me weak. You thought love made me blind. But betrayal has consequences." The judge ruled in my favor. Every stolen asset returned immediately. Both sons sentenced for financial fraud and elder exploitation. But that was not the best part. Months later I signed papers transferring my entire estate. Not to family, not to relatives, but to a foundation helping abandoned elderly people who had nowhere else to go. Because I learned something painful. Sometimes strangers protect you better than blood ever will. The people you trust the most can sometimes become the ones planning your downfall. I lost 2 sons that day, but I gained something far more valuable. The truth. Never assume loyalty comes from family, because betrayal always reveals who people really are when money enters the conversation. And sometimes karma moves faster than anyone expects.